The story of Marilyn Monroe will be brought to life in a rehearsed reading taking place on the 18th of March in Worcester. With full details on the show, I'm joined now by Jade Scotford and also Laura Liptrock.
Hello.
Hello.
So first of all, Laura, we've spoken a little on this tale in the past. Give us an update on where you are with what's going on.
Okay, so the last time we spoke, it was the Stourbridge rehearsed reading. That was the very first rehearsed reading we were going to do, and since then it's gone crazy. It's been performed across the globe. It's been translated into 22 languages, and we are doing a rehearsed reading in Worcester, my university city. And then in May, it's got its first full production in Cardiff. And then we're hoping to take it to bigger productions, bigger theatres, because it's been so successful. Everywhere we put it on, people have loved it, really lapped it up. Great positive feedback and great reviews.
Yeah, because it's interesting doing this as a rehearsed reading. It hasn't gone to a full production as yet. And I mean, you're local to us, which is the main reason we're having a chat with you. And it's great to see your work being carried around. So how involved have you been in the construction process, as it were?
Well, I saw a post on Facebook. We're doing One Night with Marilyn by P.T. Rose, a rehearsed read. So I was in the first reading, and then I'm executive producer for the Worcester read. That's sort of come from nowhere, really. Yeah, because I was in the first reading, I was sort of in there.
It's interesting seeing how it develops and then taking a different role in the production this far, and who knows what May will hold when that full production comes to fruition in Cardiff.
Well, yes, definitely, and the future bigger productions, because we'd really like to do one in the Midlands as well. So, of course, I will be auditioning for that, and fingers crossed. Because in the Stourbridge one, I played Gladys, Marilyn's mom, and in this one, I'm playing MM2, not the main Marilyn, but sort of the Hollywood alter ego Marilyn, brought to life, and she has a confrontational conversation with the real Marilyn.
So yeah, and we're looking 60 years since Marilyn passed now, and obviously to still be such a focus of attention in this time, I mean, she's totally iconic. And Jade, tell us about what you're doing in this version of the production.
So I'm playing the main version of Marilyn, MM1, and it's fascinating to me. One thing that struck me, because you said it's been 60 years since she passed. But my dad's wife is fascinated by Marilyn, and so I grew up surrounded by sort of pictures of Marilyn, hearing stories about her. So to me, even though she died 30 odd years before I was born, it's just fascinating to be able to sort of bring her to life a little bit, I think. And
a lot of people seem to think they know her, so this will actually give a bit more background in the way in which her life has been perceived and what was really going on. And as you talked about the kind of alter ego Marilyn that's there, it's talking to her and not being the real her who's behind basically the mask that is Marilyn Monroe as we know her.
Definitely, definitely. And I think so much of that and so much of what the play talks about is to do with fame, and to an extent the curse of fame. You know, Laura's character, MM2, is created because she was famous, but that was never going to be who she really, really, truly was. And I think she still suffered because she was always expected to be MM2, but deep down, she was this real person who was suffering with mental illness and other problems in her life as well.
Mm-hmm. And Laura, I mean, you've played both the mother and now MM2 in these rehearsed readings. So has that given you more of an insight as you've tried to get into each of those roles?
Oh, definitely, yes. What I found really useful was I played Ida Belenda in another read, and she was a very another maternal figure in Marilyn's life, and she was very similar to Gladys in that she was sort of intimidating and powerful, and it was really interesting doing the research and sort of trying to make those two characters different. And yeah, it's fascinating doing research, things I never knew. I mean, I knew she had a problem with her mother. I just sort of heard that in films and stuff, but to really do the research find out what was really going on in the background. It's been fascinating, really an insight into fame itself, and you know, things that people today who are trying to get on in the acting world, ourselves included, should be wary of.
Mm-hmm. And Jade, how does it work for you being a rehearsed read as well? Because it is something very different to putting on a full production. You're not in costumes and makeup, I suppose. You are going as a person in the rehearsal room.
I'm really enjoying it, actually, because I think by removing that element of costume, by stripping it down and making it very simple, what we're doing at the moment is it's just all about character. It's all about bringing those characters to life, and just almost exclusively focusing on that. And the lovely thing is that then all these rehearsed readings have sort of developed that, and as various casts go on into the full productions, they can take that with them and then add the elements of sort of costume, set, and things like that.
And Laura, do you approach it much more like a radio play? Is there kind of a soundscape to it as well? Or do you allow the audience to imagine that in their mind as they hear the story?
Yes, we are sort of approaching it like a radio play. There aren't any soundscapes at the moment, so yes, the audience imagining the sounds of clanking doors and footsteps and so on. But the way we've been rehearsing it, we've been rehearsing over Zoom, we've switched our cameras off. And I found that really freeing, just concentrating on the voice. And also, I think that keeps it more fresh because we haven't met in person yet. We're going to meet shortly before the performance itself. That will keep it very fresh, and the facial reactions will be more natural because we're not used to working with each other in person. Mm-hmm. And you can take that sort of risk with a rehearsed read.
So it sounds like it's going to be, again, another great opportunity to see this play in its early stages before it then goes into full production. And as you said, hopefully we'll see that in the Midlands. We will talk when we've got a Midlands date for that one too, which will be absolutely fantastic. Meanwhile, though, where do we go for more information to get tickets if you fancy a trip just down the road to Worcester?
Okay, so it's at the Hive in Worcester. You can go to Eventbrite and just look up One Night with Marilyn and it will be there. All the links on my social media, my Facebook, my Twitter, Jade's Facebook and Twitter, but probably the best is Eventbrite. But be quick. There's only a few tickets left, and they are free.
So it's not going to cost you anything to go along apart from your travel to get there, so it makes it a great value night out, however you want to work it. Jade Scottford and also Laura Dittropper, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.